Okay, well, I'm going to tell you a story, and this is not the story I prepared, but you've like inspired me.
Oh, I'm so
Because this has to do with it has to do with meeting someone famous, I guess.
yes.
So basically, what happened was that we were in Fiji. I was there with my husband and my kids, and I was having a really shitty year. I saw you in Vancouver. I think it was right before I saw you in Vancouver.
Yeah, 2028.
Yeah. So anywho, I was having a really crap year, and I was like, I just need to like get out and go back to North America and visit my family, my parents, and just sort of get off the island because I was having island fever. So I was scheduled to leave on I think the 23rd of October, right? But the reason I was scheduled to leave on the 23rd of October was because on the 22nd of October, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle were having a state dinner in Fiji, and I was like, maybe by some chance coincidence I'll be able to get on that guest list, right? And so to back it up a little bit, my husband has the Fiji coconut vodka brand over there, and so we were trying to get like a bottle of the vodka, to the royals, because they were coming through for the Invictus tour. They went to Australia and then they came to Fiji, and so and coincidentally, my husband's sister went to school with Meghan Markle's like personal secretary, like at the time, like this woman had worked for the Queen, and then like sort of was there to sort of transition Meghan into being a Duchess, like to get her all the protocols and all that sort of stuff.
Wow,
so we had already sort of been in touch. And so what happened was that we were driving across the island, and the phone rang, and it was this like I don't know if she's called the personal secretary to the Duchess, or I don't know what the title is, but she was like, "Hey Pete, so you work in tourism, right?" And she was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "So we're looking for like the perfect place for Harry and Meghan to go for their one night off while they're in Fiji. And we have, we've got a couple of places in mind, and so we just wanted your opinion on this." And so Peter was like, "Well, let me just patch you in with like this resort manager."
Yeah.
And so they did, and they did a deal, and well, they didn't do a deal. I mean, it was just sort of like that family connection sort of thing, you know what I mean? Like Pete's sister's friend called him, and then he hooked them up, and so they went and visited the island resort, which is absolutely incredible. And then that's where they ended up going. So anyway, so we were like, okay, great, we are in for this state dinner, right? Like we're helping to like set the itinerary for the royals at this point. When I say we, I actually mean my husband, because I was doing nothing. I was just sitting in the car. And so anyway, so the state dinner comes and goes. We don't get invited. It was the Prime Minister of Fiji, had the guest list. So I'm not Fijian, so I don't know. Who knows why I didn't get invited? I mean, I'm a very famous, important person, but anyway. Maybe they're like, oh, we can only have one actor in the room, Meghan Markle.
That's true. And Fiji is bad, so.
So anyway, so the next morning I wake up, and I'm not a morning person. So it would have been like 7:30 in the morning. And Pete's WhatsApp goes off, and he comes into the dressing room where I've just come out of the shower, and I'm like, oh, I'm so not a morning person. And he's like, I don't want to rush you, but if we can be at the Grand Pacific in a half an hour, we'll get to meet Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. And I was like, okay, I think I can do that. And because it's Fiji, we wore like linen shirts and shorts, and like the drills, right? Like we weren't like dressed. And so we rock up to the Grand Pacific, and like, I'm not kidding, like there is like security everywhere. Like there's the whole like diplomatic corps, like from the UK, like the UK ambassador, and like, and all these like school children who have been assembled with like, their British flags and all that sort of stuff, like standing outside. And we sort of like get sort of like around the back, and then we get put right next to their military escort. So there was like a female, escort for the Duchess, and a male escort for Prince Harry. And so like there's this whole receiving line of people, and then there's like my husband and I and the two military escorts like over here. And so we're waiting, and everyone's pretty excited because I've never, we've never met royals, and they come walking down the staircase of the Grand Pacific in Suva, Fiji. and they sort of do all of the official protocols. They get the gifts, you know, they shake the hand of the manager and all this sort of stuff. And then Sam, the like sort of like Sam, there, you know, Megan's sort of like the secretary or assistant or whatever, sort of like moves them in our direction, and they come over, and like this was so public, right? They just were like, she was like, oh, these are the guys. That's the coconut vodka guy, and this, you know, and they're the people that, you know, recommended this, you know, helped just find the resort for you. And so we had like 45 seconds of just like shaking their hands and, you know, and just.
Oh my God, what did you say? Did you say anything?
Well, I was like, like,
oh
it was
God.
awesome. I mean, they're like super down to earth, as you can imagine from everything you see in the press. And I was just like, I mean, she looked amazing, and I was like, oh my God, your hair, like I was like, like I was so gay. I was like, oh my God, your hair looks amazing. And Pete's, you know, like talking to Prince Harry, you know, they're doing sort of the blokey bloke thing. And so, yeah, so basically then they were like, okay, well, we've got to go. You know, we've got like, you know, royal visit things to do. And so then they turned away from us and they go outside, and that's where like all the photographers are, and there's like a band playing, there's the people like waving the flags and all this sort of stuff. And then we just sort of like snuck back around the back of the building and got in our car and drove off.